Hello, I'm Everso from San Jose State University, and today I will be presenting symptoms of the Ebola virus. In early 2014, an outbreak of the Ebola virus occurred in many parts of West Africa. The virus terrorized the region and other parts of the world for roughly 2 years, and was brought to an end due to strict regulations and the development of a vaccine. The aftermath of the virus was the infection of 28,616 people, 11,310 of which met a tragic and painful death due to succumbing to the effects of the virus. What sets this virus apart from many others are the terrifying symptoms victims experienced. Although we have experienced symptoms from other diseases, many are unaware of the horrific symptoms of the Ebola virus, which is why they must be brought to light for awareness and apprehension. This picture shows how dangerous the body of a victim was due to healthcare workers being covered up and the audience standing a few feet away from the deceased. Infection. The virus is transmitted when physical contact is established between an affected and a non-affected individual. The virus was unbeknownst in parts of West Africa, thus the symptoms of the virus went unrecognized to the residents of the area. The virus went unidentified for many months before it was later tracked down to have been started in late 2013. Family members and healthcare workers unknowingly attracted the virus due to establishing physical contact, which resulted in the spread of the disease. Symptoms of the victims. Symptoms are physical and mental effects indicating the effects of a condition or disease. The symptoms of the Ebola virus include fevers, aches, pains, fatigue, sore throat, loss of appetite, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and unexplained hemorrhaging or bleeding. One of the most difficult tasks during the outbreak was to distinguish which individuals had the disease at its early stage of symptoms. Due to how relatively fast and easy the virus can spread, the most crucial factor was to separate the infected from the ones without the disease. A simple way to diagnose someone with the probability of the disease in an underdeveloped environment is to note the severity of fatigue someone is feeling. How the virus attacks the body. The virus infects macrophages, a type of immune cell which releases protein that cause clots in the bloodstream, blocking blood flow to organs such as the liver and kidneys. Once the liver cells are unable to clear the toxins out of the bloodstream, the body is now vulnerable. As the virus spreads through the body, it damages the immune system and organs. By infecting the immune system, which travels everywhere in the body loses its defense system. Red blood cells continue to break apart when moving through small vessels, which begin to fill with clots. Ultimately, it causes levels of blood clotting cells to drop. This leads to severe, uncontrollable bleeding. Once the victim has lost a certain amount of blood, the individual departs from this life. Effects and repercussions. Excruciating pain is extremely common throughout different cases and stages of the symptoms. In some severe cases, hemorrhagic conjunctivitis occur, eventually leading to retinal and choroidal damage. It is best to seek medical help when encountered with the early symptom stages of the disease, which is commonly a high fever. Once it leads to the later stages of the symptoms, the patient would have a higher probability of already infecting many others around them. As the virus symptoms begins to progress into later stages, the survival rate of the victim decreases. Due to mortality rate of the virus, the West African Ebola outbreak is estimated to have lost more than $2 billion of the GDP of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Hopes of recovery. The Ebola virus disease is one of the most dangerous pathogens in the world. The infected fall victim to the severe effects of the symptoms at later stages, which include severe bleeding and multi-organ failure. Although pain and death were looming on the minds of victims, a story of a survivor of the virus shows perseverance and another outcome of the virus other than death. Nelly was exhibiting severe symptoms of the virus and was taken into medical care. At the beginning of his treatment, he fell in and out of consciousness and had trouble breathing normally. He experienced symptoms such as extreme fevers and internal bleeding. He was cared for at all times by a survivor of the virus who had acquired immunity due to overcoming the virus. Many claimed that there was no hope for Nelly, but fortunately, a miracle occurred. Nelly started to get better, and with the help from the medical workers, he was able to recover from the effects of the virus. Finally, over a month in intensive health care, Nelly was discharged from the treatment center as an Ebola survivor. This picture depicts Nelly and another Ebola survivor in a healthcare facility. New discoveries of the past. A recent study conducted showed that the possible rate of dying to the virus varies from place to place during the same time of the epidemic. Different factors and reactions to the symptoms had different mortality rates from patient to patient. The fate of one infected with the virus was unpredictable because of the varying effects of the symptoms on the victim's body. The locations throughout the world also had an impact on how the infected were treated. This research eventually concluded that more studies in this department are required to present an accurate depiction of the mortality rate from the signs and symptoms of the Ebola virus. The virus today. The most recent and relevant outbreak of the virus occurred in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Ministry of Health of the Democratic Republic of Congo declared the outbreak after the laboratory confirmation of one case in Butembo on February 7th of this year. The symptoms of the Ebola virus play a huge role within the previous epidemics that had occurred. The important takeaway is to be wary of the early stages of symptoms from the virus for the sake of one's well-being as well as others. Recognizing the symptoms early on reduces the chance of a victim spreading the disease to the non-infected. As far as we know today, an outbreak can still occur at any time, but the likelihood is low due to the advancement of a vaccine. With overwhelmingly more experience, we have a better chance at fighting off the virus in case of an outbreak. Here is the Works Cited page, and that concludes this presentation. Thank you all for watching.